The news didn't arrive with sirens. It didn't interrupt programming or crash a website. It slipped in quietly. One line. One confirmation. And suddenly, the woman who spent decades making millions laugh was gone. Catherine O'Hara, dead at 71. And almost no one saw it coming. Think about that for a second. How does someone so present in our lives disappear so suddenly? How does a face we associate with joy, chaos, warmth, and laughter vanish with barely a paragraph of explanation? No long statement, no details, just a confirmation, and a silence that felt louder than any punchline she ever delivered. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. You probably know her without realizing how deeply she was there during holidays, when the TV played in the background and families argued over dinner. She was there during rewatches, lazy weekends, moments when laughter felt like comfort instead of noise. She made absurdity feel human. She made exaggeration feel honest. And now, people are asking the same question in whispers and disbelief. Have you heard what happened to Catherine O'Hara? The confirmation came quickly, but the details didn't. Emmy-winning actress, comedy icon, known for unforgettable roles in Beetlejuice, Home Alone, and later Schitt's Creek. Her manager confirmed her passing. No cause shared. No long explanation. TMZ broke the story first. And just like that, the world was expected to accept it and move on. But here's the thing. Loss doesn't work like that. Especially not when it feels personal. Why does this hit harder than expected? Why does the death of someone we never met feel like a crack in something familiar? Maybe it's because Catherine O'Hara didn't just perform comedy, she lived inside it. Her characters weren't just funny, they were uncomfortably real. Overbearing mothers, delusional socialites, women clinging to dignity while everything around them collapsed. We laughed because we recognized pieces of ourselves or our families. Or our pasts. And now there's an uncomfortable contradiction. A woman whose entire career was built on sound, timing, and laughter, leaving behind so much quiet. What makes this moment even more unsettling is how little we were told. No slow decline made public. No farewell tour. No final interview framed as a goodbye. One day, she existed in the cultural background as she always had. The next, she was a headline written in past tense. It forces a reckoning. Not just with her death, but with how we consume people like her. We grow up with them. We quote them. We expect them to always be there. And when they're not, it feels like something has been taken without warning. But the story of Catherine O'Hara doesn't begin with applause or awards. It doesn't start with standing ovations or red carpets. It starts much smaller, quieter, in Toronto, in a crowded household, in a moment where a young woman was told flatly that she wasn't good enough. A moment that should have ended everything. And maybe that's the most haunting part of all, because long before the world lost Catherine O'Hara, she came dangerously close to losing herself. She wasn't born into the spotlight, she wasn't groomed by Hollywood, and there was no safety net waiting to catch her if things went wrong. Before Catherine O'Hara became a household name, she was just one voice among many in a loud, crowded Toronto household, trying to figure out if her instincts were worth trusting. 7 children. Think about that chaos for a moment. Noise, competition, constant comparison. You learn early how to stand out or how to disappear. And Catherine learned something else too. How to observe, how to listen, how to read a room before speaking. Skills that would later define her comedy, but at the time just felt like survival. Her father worked for the Canadian Pacific Railway. Her mother sold real estate. No agents, no industry connections, no magical break waiting around the corner. Her first time on stage wasn't glamorous. She played the Virgin Mary in a nativity play. No laugh track. No applause. Just a quiet role that demanded presence more than attention. Even then, there was a pattern forming. Catherine didn't dominate scenes. She inhabited them. After high school, she didn't step into fame. She stepped into work. Waitressing at the Second City Theatre in Toronto. Carrying plates, clearing tables, watching legends from the sidelines. Dan Aykroyd, Gilda Radner, performers who made it look effortless. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people would have stayed exactly where she was. Close enough to greatness to touch it. Too scared to risk rejection. But Catherine watched differently. She didn't just admire talent. She studied it. Timing, pauses, the way a single raised eyebrow could get a bigger laugh than a punchline. While others dreamed out loud, she absorbed quietly. So when she finally auditioned to join Second City, it wasn't reckless, it was deliberate. And it didn't go the way anyone hoped. Joe Flaherty's feedback wasn't cruel. That's what makes it worse. It was dismissive. The kind of comment that sounds like advice, but lands like a verdict. Keep up the good work. Your day job, I mean. Waitressing. Imagine hearing that. Not shouted, not dramatic, just spoken like a fact, like a door closing without ceremony. Most people would have believed him. Why wouldn't they? He was established, respected, powerful, and she was pouring drinks. Here's the question you have to ask yourself. How many careers ended in moments just like that? How many voices disappeared because someone with authority didn't see the spark? Catherine didn't argue. She didn't protest. She didn't storm out. She did something far more dangerous. She ignored him. She auditioned again. No tantrum. No revenge arc, just persistence. And this time, she got in. That moment matters more than any award she ever won, because it revealed something that followed her for the rest of her life. Catherine O'Hara didn't chase validation. She chased the work. She trusted her internal compass even when external voices told her she was wrong. Inside Second City, she didn't explode onto the stage. She grew. Slowly. Deliberately. She wasn't the loudest. She wasn't the flashiest. She was the one who made scenes better by being in them. The one whose reactions carried weight. The one whose restraint made everything else land harder. Comedy rewards ego. Catherine mastered humility. And soon, opportunities followed. Not overnight fame. Not instant stardom. But steady, undeniable momentum. The kind that doesn't burn out quickly because it isn't fueled by hype. Here's the irony no one talks about. The woman best known for playing exaggerated characters, delusional, dramatic, absurd, was grounded to the point of invisibility early on. She learned to disappear inside ensembles, to elevate others, to let moments breathe. And that same instinct that made her indispensable on screen may have also taught her how to hide parts of herself off it. Because as her career climbed, something else was happening quietly in the background. A pattern of giving. Of accommodating, of pushing through without complaint. And the question no one asked back then was the one that matters now. Success didn't arrive with fireworks. It crept in sideways, quiet roles, ensemble casts, characters that lingered longer than the scenes they appeared in. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, Catherine O'Hara became someone audiences trusted, without realizing why. Here's the strange part. Fame didn't change her instincts. If anything, it reinforced them. She kept choosing work where she wasn't the obvious center, where she could disappear just enough to make the world feel real. She gravitated toward projects that rewarded observation over volume, timing over dominance. And Hollywood didn't quite know what to do with that at first. Then came the films that changed everything. Home Alone wasn't sold on her name. Beetlejuice didn't hinge on her being a star. Those movies worked because they felt lived in. Because the adults weren't caricatures? Even when they were ridiculous. Her characters weren't jokes. They were people who happened to be funny, and audiences responded to that instinctively. Ask yourself this. How many performers can steal scenes without demanding attention? How many could be unforgettable without shouting for it? That's the contradiction at the heart of her career. The more iconic her performances became, the less she seemed to claim space for herself. She elevated chaos while remaining controlled. She leaned into absurdity while staying emotionally grounded, and that made her indispensable. But indispensability has a cost. By the time she reached the height of her powers, she had become the person productions relied on to make everything work. The glue, the stabilizer, the one who could fix a scene with a look. And when you're that person, people stop asking if you're okay. They assume you are. Because you always have been. She worked consistently, relentlessly. Film, television, voice acting, collaborations with the same tight-knit creative circles. Christopher Guest mockumentaries that blurred the line between improvisation and truth. Characters that felt exaggerated but somehow intimate. Like they were pulled from real rooms, real families, real insecurities.